Good morning, America. State of the race. The new ABC poll showing support for the candidates after the debate didn't move the needle as Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris boost their campaign chest, plus the latest fallout from Trump's unsubstantiated claims about Haitian immigrants.
Breaking overnight, a Houthi missile lands in central Israel. What we know this morning as Matt Gutman rides along with the IDF inside Gaza.
Do you believe that there may be additional hostages in this area in Tel Sultan?
A network of tunnels the IDF says Hamas used to smuggle in weapons. And the strip of land now a key bargaining point in ceasefire talks.
TikTok in court. The social media giant fighting a law that could ban it in the U.S. Why they're claiming the move is unconstitutional.
Breaking overnight, splash landing. The SpaceX crew arrives back on Earth after a trip that included the first private spacewalk.
League of Their Own, the first ever mother-daughter team to be certified as sports agents for NFL players, now representing some of the top players. And it's week 2 of the NFL.
Burrow looking, end zone!
ESPN's Herm Edwards joins us live to break down the top matchups and give us his pick for Monday Night Football.
It's TV's Golden Night, the Emmy Awards, just hours away.
I cannot wait.
Our look at the top contenders to take home a statue. The award show promising nods to some classic favorites.
We're going to show you what greatness looks like today and tomorrow.
As we go behind the scenes with host Dan and Eugene Levy.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Sure is. Good morning, America. Happy Sunday to you. Thank you for starting your week with us. It is a huge day for entertainment with the Emmys tonight and week 2 for the new NFL season. Can't wait to hear what Mr. Herm Edwards has to say about the big games. We love talking.
Yes, and we've been tracking our Monday Night Football picks, too, so far. Gio, not off to a great start.
You know what?
We'll get into it a little bit later on. We got much more ahead this morning, including what's in store for interest rates. The Federal Reserve meeting this week and expected to cut rates for the first time in about 4 years. The question now is by how much and how soon people could feel some relief.
But we do begin here with the presidential race. The candidates back in campaign mode after Tuesday's debate. Former President Trump in the West this weekend, while Vice President Harris focuses on raising money and planning a Midwest tour this week. ABC's Mary Alice Parks leads us off. Good morning, Mary Alice.
Good morning, Gio. Vice President Kamala Harris back here in Washington, D.C. overnight, telling donors and supporters that with just 50 days to go, with early voting set to start in just a few weeks in several key states, the clock is ticking in this election. With just over 50 days to go until Election Day, Vice President Kamala Harris telling supporters it's time to get to work.
Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom and for the future. And now, the baton is in our hands.
At an event with the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C., Harris ticking through her policy priorities, like expanding the Affordable Health Care Act, guaranteeing access to abortion, capping the cost of prescription drugs, and protecting voting rights. It was President Biden who took on Republicans with a sharper tone, accusing them of wanting to ban books and rewrite history.
They're old ghosts in new garments and extremists coming for your freedoms. Make it harder to vote and have your vote counted.
The vice president barnstorming battleground states this week, multiple rallies in North Carolina and Pennsylvania, making a direct pitch to independents and even Republicans. Former President Trump campaigning aggressively, too, in California, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah the last few days, asked by our local ABC station, KTNV, about what his message would be to Republicans who have backed Harris.
I probably wouldn't tell him anything, because usually it would be maybe a personality problem.
In the last few days, he has continued to spread unsubstantiated claims about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. City officials believing his words are having a profound effect on daily life there. One local university canceling all on-campus activities due to a shooting threat targeting Haitians. Springfield also facing bomb threats several days in a row. This weekend, targeting medical facilities, leading to evacuations in town.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats.
Trump ignoring it, promising mass deportations there, even though Springfield officials say Haitian immigrants have temporary legal status. Now, Haitian immigrants telling our reporters there in Springfield, Ohio, that they had enjoyed finding work in that community, but that there is a real sense of fear and anxiety now, given the charged climate. Now, Trump in that interview also talked about his own economic priorities, more oil and gas drilling, instating tariffs, and eliminating taxes on tips and overtime pay. Whit?
All right, Mary Alice Parks, thank you so much as always. We have a brand new ABC News Ipsos poll just out this morning, so let's bring in our political director and Washington bureau chief, Rick Klein, to break it all down. Rick, good morning. Always great to have you. So overall here, what does our new poll say about where this race stands following that debate?
Good morning, Whit. Yeah, Kamala Harris has a 6-point lead among likely voters in our poll, 52-46 over Trump. And that is exactly where the race stood just 2 weeks ago on the eve of the debate. No change, although there was some tightening in the polls in the ensuing couple of weeks. The national polling average suggested that things were getting narrower. It looks like this race has settled back to a solid but not overwhelming lead for Kamala Harris, particularly with her base starting to come home a bit more and feel more enthusiastic about her candidacy.
Yeah, and Rick, both sides were declaring victory, but what do voters say about who won the debate?
Yeah, this poll pretty securely puts the win in the column of Kamala Harris, particularly among independents. Maybe more significant than that, though, take a look at these numbers. The number of people that say they view Harris more favorably as a result of this debate, 37 versus 23% who say less favorably. It's almost the opposite story for Donald Trump. 2-to-1 margin, voters said they viewed Trump less favorably as a result of this debate. And again, that translates into enthusiasm and into what kind of voters you have backing your candidacy. Again, Harris feeling pretty good coming out of that debate about assuaging some concerns of voters who may not have known her that well.
And Rick, we know we're entering a new era of politics when pollsters are asking about the Taylor Swift endorsement. So what are people saying about that?
Yeah, look, this is not looking like a game changer based on the initial results. Only 6% of Americans say that they are more likely to vote for Kamala Harris as a result of the Swift endorsement. More than twice as many say they are less likely. But it should be noted that those anti-Swifties are almost exclusively Republicans anyway. They were going to vote for Trump regardless. We've seen voter registration spike in the last couple of days that the Harris campaign will take, even if the Swift effect is not going to change the trajectory of this race.
And never a dull moment in this campaign, that's for sure. Rick Klein, as always, thank you. And tune into This Week later this morning. Martha Raddatz speaks exclusively with the two governors about the state of the 2024 race, Ohio Republican Mike DeWine and Massachusetts Democrat Maura Healey. Plus, Martha sits down with a 9/11 survivor who is now revealing his role as a former CIA officer on the mission to take down Osama bin Laden. Janae?
Looking forward to that. But now overseas, where a Houthi missile landed inside central Israel overnight. The Israeli military also giving reporters a look at the border area that's become central to ceasefire talks. ABC's Matt Gutman joins us live from Tel Aviv this morning with the very latest. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Janae. The IDF telling me a short time ago that missile broke apart over Israel. Still, this is the first time that a missile fired by the Houthis in Yemen, 1,300 miles away, managed to penetrate Israel's sophisticated air defense system.
This morning, for the first time, a missile fired from Yemen penetrating Israel's air defenses, triggering air raid sirens, pieces of it landing near Israel's main airport. The Houthi militia saying its hypersonic missile attacks will continue as long as Israel remains in Gaza. Late Friday, the IDF taking us right into the Philadelphia corridor along the Gaza-Egypt border. The road freshly paved, a giant Israeli flag flying. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says he won't sign a ceasefire and hostage release deal unless Israel maintains control of the Philadelphia corridor, Hamas calling that a non-starter. The area honeycombed with Hamas tunnels, this one big enough to drive a truck into.
The IDF says that this tunnel was built right underneath a mosque used as cover. They also say that this is one of the centers of operation for the entire Rafah Brigade, the hub of so many tunnels in this area, up to 200 that were apparently here.
But they wanted us to see another tunnel, so we rolled into the wreckage of Rafah.
The destruction here is jaw-dropping. It is absolute pancaked buildings. You see household goods strewn everywhere. And this goes on as far as the eye can see.
The convoy stops.
The IDF is extremely edgy where we are right now in the neighborhood of Tel Sultan.
Nearby the 60-foot deep tunnel where those 6 hostages were found 2 weeks ago.
Do you believe that there may be additional hostages in this area in Tel Sultan?
We are investigating. Our assumption is that there are no not any other hostages, but we are very, very careful when we operate.
Israeli security sources believe about 50 hostages remain alive. The IDF saying Hamas has been defeated here, but resistance remains.
You can hear all that gunfire. There's still some active fighting here. The IDF says that it's mostly small cells of Hamas that pop out of tunnels.
Over 1.4 million people displaced from the Rafah area. Over the weekend, the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza saying 64 people were killed, scores wounded, including this father consoling his son as medical staff tend to him.
It's hard to watch those images, and in over 20 years of covering conflict, I have never seen destruction like that. The camera can't quite capture the scope of it all. Israel says it wouldn't target those areas if Hamas didn't hide among the civilians. But what's clear is that it will take years to rebuild places like Rafah. Not clear where hundreds of thousands of Palestinians will live in the interim. Gio.
Just unbelievable images there, Matt. Thank you for your reporting. And we're going to turn now to the battle over an attempt to ban TikTok if it doesn't get sold by January. There's a key court hearing tomorrow in Washington, and ABC's Perry Russum is following it all. Good morning, Perry. The clock is ticking.
Gio, good morning to you. And TikTok has become a valuable tool during the presidential campaign to reach out and connect with younger voters. But one of the questions this morning is this the final election for TikTok? This morning, TikTok and its parent company ByteDance facing an ultimatum: sell the app or be banned. TikTok's lawyers are scheduled to argue in court tomorrow that the law that could ban the app is unconstitutional.
There's no denying that this app has huge cultural influence today.
It comes less than 5 months after President Biden signed a bill into law giving ByteDance until January to find a new owner for TikTok. With more than 170 million users, TikTok has become a place to unwind, influence, and even try to win a presidential election.
Hey, Kamala, what are we going to say to Donald Trump in November?
Bye, bye, bye.
Both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump are on TikTok, posting videos to appeal to voters.
The president is now on TikTok. It's my honor.
Even as the Justice Department calls TikTok a national security threat.
We see both campaigns on there. Regardless of how they even feel about TikTok's future, they're using it now. They want to reach young people.
U.S. officials say user data can be handed over to the Chinese government. TikTok denies the allegation, calling the attempt to ban it a radical departure from this country's tradition of championing an open internet and sets a dangerous precedent. And Pew Research finds public support of a TikTok ban has been falling in recent months. It was at 50% back in March. Now it's at 32%. Whit?
All right, Perry Russum for us. Thank you. Now to the Federal Reserve's meeting this week and what analysts expect will be the first interest rate cut in about 4 years. ABC's Alexis Christoforous is here with details and what this all means for us. Alexis, good morning.
Good morning. The question for Wall Street this week is not if the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates, but by how much. With inflation cooling off and the job market slowing down, the Fed is widely expected to cut rates at its meeting Wednesday for the first time in 4 years, making it cheaper for Americans to borrow money. This is welcome relief for consumers who've been struggling for years now with high prices and soaring interest rates. The average credit card interest rate is near a record high of 21%, and delinquency rates are on the rise. But there are some bright spots. Gas prices now near a 3-year low, and the 30-year mortgage rate is averaging 6.2%. That's the lowest level since February of last year, and more relief may be on the way. Most investors are betting the Fed will reduce rates by a 1/4 point this week, but others say the time is right for a larger 1/2 point cut to prevent the economy from slowing down too quickly. Regardless of the size of that rate cut, experts agree consumers won't feel immediate relief. They say it will take several rate reductions over the course of many months for consumers to feel a measurable impact in their wallets. Janae?
Important reminder there that it'll take some time, Alexis. Thank you. Now to our Emmy Award countdown. Television's big celebration now just hours away, and ABC's Chris Connolly is in LA with more. Good morning to you, Chris.
Hey, good morning to you, Janae. And you know the drill. Fancy dresses and glam squads, tuxedos and hair product. It's fixing to be that kind of morning here in Hollywood as nominees, presenters, and performers get Emmy ready before boogieing down here to LA Live and rocking the red carpet before heading on into the 76 Emmys for a show that'll honor the best of 2024 and the best of some of what came before. 25 Emmy categories tonight and an abundance of TV achievement in each one.
We're going to show you what greatness looks like today and tomorrow.
Featuring such multi-nominated series as Only Murders in the Building, The Morning Show, Abbott Elementary, and the reigning comedy champ, The Bear.
I think about you too much.
They want you to make bad jokes about your eyebrows.
Emmy hosts Stan Levy and Eugene Levy are ready to entertain. Will there be anything you do right before you go on stage that's like good luck for the two of you?
I was going to say a glass of champagne.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant to say.
I think a nice little glass of champagne feels celebratory, loosens you up a little bit.
But celebrating television at the Emmys can also mean looking back a bit, as John Hamm's Don Draper put it in the mega Emmy-winning series Mad Men.
Nostalgia. It's delicate, but potent.
Remember Jane Lynch as a coach? Don Johnson as a cop. The Emmys do, gathering beloved performers by job title.
If it's cops, you're going to see all the cops from many years of television and cops that you see on television today, along with the other great cops that are going to come out and celebrate.
Sunday, Monday, happy days.
No series in TV history understood the pull of the past like Happy Days did. It'll be honored on the 50th anniversary of its 1974 debut.
We were able to get Ron Howard and Henry Winkler to come in. There's going to be a great visual presentation of Happy Days.
Born back ceaselessly into the past? Not with these up-to-the-minute powerhouse performances.
I wear suits now.
All of them in Emmy contention tonight. From Shogun's Hiroyuki Sanada, Gene Smart in Hacks,
This is such a big deal for me.
to Maya Rudolph in Loot,
I cannot wait.
and Jessica Gunning in Baby Reindeer.
Don't you dare!
It's either us or them, and I can tell you it's not going to be us.
Hijack's Idris Elba, the ageless Carol Burnett in Palm Royale,
You don't have it in you.
and Meryl Streep singing.
So darling, my darling.
Which reminds us, will we be hearing both of you sing in the course of the show?
I think they want to keep their ratings. So no, I don't think there'll be any singing.
Dan knows best, right? Well, I anticipate wins for Hacks and for The Bear, drama dominance for Shogun, and laughs from the Levies. But don't take my word for it. See for yourself. Tonight. Janae?
Tonight. And you know, Chris, you talked about hair products. We can't get enough hair product for women.
Oh, come on now. This is a wig.
I know. Oh, sorry.
Nice.
All right,
Lego
Chris,
hairs.
thank you so
Snaps
much.
on.
And Robin Roberts will host ABC's official pre-show on the red carpet live at the Emmys starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, and television's biggest night will air live right here on ABC from the Peacock Theater in LA at 8 p.m.
Cannot wait for that. Tuxedos and hair product. Chris
Can't wait to
Connolly,
see what Robin's wearing.
Oh, she's going to look good. She's going to look good. All right, time now for the weather, and Samara Theodore is here. We are still talking about Francine.
I know. So there's some remnants of Francine that we're dealing with, but there's also another system brewing. So I want to talk to my friends, our family out in the Carolinas. Good morning. So remnants of Francine in Alabama prompting some flood watches. But look at this system just off the coast of South and North Carolina. Myrtle Beach, Wilmington under a flood watch right now. There's a 50% chance of development. We know that this storm is going to have some level of tropical characteristics here and bring some soaking rain. Timing this out, this is dinner time. You're home by 7 p.m. Monday. Look at the storm driving inland, pushing closer to Raleigh, where we see some heavy bands of rain, flooding possible by 9 p.m. on Tuesday. Also seeing that rain move into parts of the Blue Mountains and Shenandoah Valley. Totals could reach anywhere from 3 to 6 inches.
Now to two women breaking barriers in Major League sports. A mother-daughter duo becoming the first such team to play agent to NFL players. Breaking into the National Football League isn't easy. Oh my God! Especially if you're a woman. But enter Edie Jackson Lawson and her daughter, Samira Jackson, the first ever mother-daughter team to be certified as sports agents by the NFL Players Association.
We're so excited, especially again, being not just the first mother-daughter agent tandem, but we're Black women doing it. It feels amazing.
Both women are attorneys and lifelong Baltimore Ravens fans. Edie, who started in sports law, got her certification as a sports agent in 2010
10, her daughter following suit. And now they're representing some of the top players.
It's intercepted! Tremon Smith!
Cornerback Tremon Smith from the Denver Broncos, Nate Hobbs from the Las Vegas Raiders, and Damon Harris from the Atlanta Falcons.
I used to play football in the streets in Baltimore with my 5 brothers. And so when I decided that I wanted to be a sports agent, I just decided that I wanted to do football.
Once my mom had that foot in the door, I would always follow her around. Can I intern with you guys?
But in an industry where women, especially women of color, are significantly underrepresented, the mother-daughter duo are a big deal. Out of nearly 1,000 certified NFL agents, only 88 are women, and an even smaller fraction of those are black women.
I was fortunate that I was able to make friends with some guys who were willing to be mentors to me.
Their journey paving the way for others to follow.
I never thought that we would stumble into history.
Well, that is incredibly cool.
Yeah, love that story.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to us. Coming up here on GMA, we're getting into Concussion 101. Dr. Sutton's here with crucial medical information for parents as kids go back to school and take part in contact sports.
9 months at sea, we check in with the passengers of the Ultimate World Cruise after their incredible journey. Could it change the cruise business forever?
And Monday Night Football preview. Can the Falcons stop the Eagles' Saquon Barkley after his 3-touchdown performance last week? ESPN's Herm Edwards joined us to talk about it. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Yes, and here we go. All right, now it is time to get this party started.
The best. You like
All right,
that.
Janae?
It's really funny. That was my kind of humor.
Welcome back to GMA on this Sunday morning. You know what that is. The ABC hit comedy Abbott Elementary. It's going into tonight's 76th Annual Emmy Awards with 5 nominations, including Outstanding Comedy Series. Coming up, Will Ganss will test our Emmy knowledge ahead of TV's biggest night. We love that show.
We know
so
who
much.
Janae's picking for the Emmy win.
I love a show that can make me laugh out loud. It's hard to do, but Abbott Elementary does. And you know how well we do with trivia segments, guys. So get ready to lose. Now let's take a look at some of the other big stories that we're following on this Sunday morning. Happening right now, Yemeni-based Houthi militants have claimed responsibility for a missile that landed in central Israel overnight. The IDF telling ABC their defense system managed to deflect the Yemeni missile. The Houthi militia saying its attacks will continue as long as Israel remains in Gaza.
Also right now, SpaceX's Polaris Dawn crew is back on Earth after splashing down in the Gulf of Mexico just hours ago. The 4 astronauts capping off a 5-day mission to orbit, which included the world's first commercial spacewalk. The Polaris Dawn mission also made history as it reached a higher altitude than any human has traveled in 5 decades.
And the best lacrosse players in the world will compete for a Premier Lacrosse League Championship Series in Philadelphia today. The defending champion Utah Archers will take on the 2-time PLL champion Maryland Whipsnakes. You can catch all the action starting at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on ABC.
All right. And I was just saying, get ready to lose the trivia game.
The trivia,
because you know I'm so good at it.
Yeah, sure.
No, well, we got that.
Thank you,
Janae.
All right. We start this half hour with a look at keeping our kids safe during sports. There are so many ways that organized sports can be beneficial, but there's always that risk of injury, especially concussion. So joining us now with more on this is ABC News medical correspondent, Dr. Darien Sutton, our very favorite. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Concussions are top of mind after seeing that hit that Dolphins' Tua Tagovailoa suffered on the field last Thursday. What exactly happens during a concussion?
Well, I'm glad we bring it up because concussions are some of the common things that I see in the emergency room. So just to break it down and to understand, when we are struck with a force, whether it be our body or our head, our brain moves within our skull, and that can cause damage to delicate structures. We're talking about damage to nerves and blood cells. There can be tearing, there can be ripping. And also at a cellular level, we've seen in animal studies that there are chemical changes. The problem is that this damage can't easily be tracked or found on CT scans or other forms of imaging like MRIs. So it leaves many patients concerned without the ability to fully acknowledge where their symptoms are coming from, and it can make management difficult as it's guided mainly by symptoms.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize just how dangerous these are until you started telling me about this. Even more dangerous if you're a kid, right? So what are the symptoms and risks of a concussion?
Well, the symptoms can be different from one person to another. So we commonly see things like headache, right? Nausea, blurry vision, but it can also include things like dizziness, problems with memory, and sleep disturbance. And also it's important to remember, and I tell patients this every time I discharge a patient with the diagnosis of a concussion, more concussions can equal more damage. You can lead to a problem called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which can give symptoms of early dementia or premature dementia if not accurately treated and identified.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. We're learning so much more about these and about head injuries over time. So what's the best way to treat a concussion if you think you have these symptoms?
Well, rest is so important. Many times we know historically many patients, and I know I have this idea too, that you can't sleep after you hit your head. I understand where that comes from, but it's important to know what the data states. It's important to rest, especially in those first 48 hours. You want to decrease your brain work, and that means putting away screens and stop doing things that provoke your symptoms. And then you can move to light exercise. You want to avoid contact sports, and then you don't want to resume contact sports until you are fully recovered. Many people do not know this. There is a second concussion syndrome, where if you get struck while you're still healing from your first injury, it can lead to even more harm. So it's so important to be safe with concussions.
Oh, gosh, it's so important. Thank you for bringing this information.
Of course.
All right, Dr. Darien Sutton, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you. And we're going to turn now to the ultimate world cruise. We all watched on social media, of course, as passengers took that 9-month cruise around the world. Now they're back and speaking with us as other cruise lines launch their own long voyages. Take a look at this. Ending where it started at the port of Miami, this ultimate world cruise homecoming is a bittersweet goodbye for passengers on Royal Caribbean's Serenade of the Seas.
We became like one big happy family.
Over 9 months at sea, these passengers explored 65 countries across ports in all 7 continents.
My favorite port was Moorea.
Sydney, Australia.
Taj Mahal in India. Bali.
We made it around the world.
The epic adventure won viral postmark through the hashtag Ultimate World Cruise, where passengers brought landlubbers along for the journey.
Good morning, happy day 4. We are in Cozumel, Mexico.
There's a light show.
We've been keeping up with Angie Linderman, who treated her trip as a working vacation since the start of the cruise in December. She didn't bring back many souvenirs, just incredible memories.
There's definitely a few of them. I would say the Great Wall of China at night. That's not something that happens very often. I loved Portofino. We spent the day at a beach. We just sat there all day, and then friends just kept coming.
This as the cruise industry expects major growth, forecasting a nearly 25% increase in passengers by 2027. Experts say millennials are the driving force with high-speed internet on board.
You can go to the ends of the earth and you are still connected. You can still be in touch, which I think for many people is a real fear when they're traveling that far.
Other cruise lines now offering extended world voyages. Holland America offering a 28-day sailing starting around $5,500. That will take passengers under the 2026 solar eclipse path of totality in Iceland. Regent with a trip for 168 days, averaging as much as $111,000 with stops in Australia, Indonesia, Thailand, Colombia, and more. And again, one of the big reasons this is happening and it's so popular is because of that high-speed internet we now have on cruise ships. And there's so much remote work, right? So people can literally work from the pool deck. You were asking, how is it that so many people can do this?
Yeah.
Well, that's really one of the reasons.
No, I meant how can we?
Oh, that's what you wanted. Okay.
I still don't know how I'd survive the buffet for several months at a time.
You wouldn't.
Yeah, it'd be float and bloat next level for me. All right, let's check the weather. Go to Samara. Lightning in Miami. What's up, Samara?
Yes. Well, yes, let's do this. All right, so you guys are hilarious. We're headed to Miami, Florida, a very popular cruise ship port here, but you can see lots of lightning. Look at those decaying leaders that we have moving through the sky. Absolutely beautiful sight to see, though, from inside. Now, we have the systems. We talked about the rain in parts of the south, but we head down to the tip of Florida. It's dry there, but it's steamy and it's hot. Turkey Foot, 100 degrees. You can see heat index values up to 111 is what it's going to feel like in some spots. And, you know, the heat is also sitting in the central portions of the country. Wherever you see a red box, that's where we could hit potentially a daily record high. That includes San Antonio, with temperatures this afternoon going for 97 degrees. My friends, have you guys figured out a way for us to work from a cruise ship?
Yes, and not float and bloat.
Float and bloat. That's what happens when you go to the buffet 3 times a day.
That's what happens when you go to the buffet. And the dollar dance. Dollar.
Yeah, the dollar
is that how it
dance.
goes?
Work it off.
Is that how it goes?
It's a dance on the cruise.
10 cent, 5 cent. What is it?
1 cent dollar. Yeah. Dollar wine.
Coming up on Good Morning America. Week 2 in the NFL. ESPN's Herm Edwards previews the big matchup. Stick around.
Left side, he throws wide open hits. Touchdown Atlanta.
And welcome back to GMA as we take a look at week 2 in the NFL and the teams going head to head. ESPN football analyst and veteran head coach Herm Edwards is back. Coach Edwards, we had you for trivia earlier. We got a double dose this morning. We're going to give you a little bit more time for this segment, we promise. All right, so let's get into it. I appreciate it. There you go. The Bengals coming off that rough loss in week 1. Now they face the Chiefs, who had a big win and extra rest. How does Cincinnati bounce back?
Well, they need to bounce back because you can't lose 2 in a row all of a sudden to AFC opponents. You think about their first loss. That was kind of a head-scratcher. Now they go into Arrowhead, a place that they've won before. They've got to run the ball with Zach Moss. They've got to slow this Kansas City offense down and stay out of 3rd and longs, because if you get in some 3rd and long situations, you got to block Chris Jones. That's not a guy you like to block on 3rd down. So I think if you're Cincinnati, you understand the importance of this game. You're playing the Chiefs, obviously, reigning Super Bowl champions at home. It's very loud in this stadium. You have to make sure that the noise is not a factor for you. And how you do that, you make hay on 1st down. You got to stay out of 3rd and longs. If you get into 3rd and longs, you find yourself in a world of hurt.
All right, Coach, so on Monday Night Football right here on ABC, we've got the Battle of the Birds. We've got the Falcons visiting the Eagles. With Saquon Barkley scoring 3 touchdowns last week, how can the Falcons stop him and secure that win?
Well, I don't know if you just stop him. You got to stop this offense of the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is one of those situations where you have 2 teams that have birds, right? You got the Falcons, and then you got the big Eagles. And the Eagles have a potent offense. When you think about Barkley, but it's also A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, the tight end, and Jalen Hurts, obviously, he's a guy that can get the ball out of his hand and throw it like this down the field. So this is a big ask to beat the Philadelphia Eagles with this offense. This is tough.
All right. Well, fellas, we are kicking off part of a new series of the segment called Who's with Herm? Stacking up your Monday Night Football picks. Here are the results from last week from the Niners versus the Jets. Oh, these are cute.
Yeah.
Whit, Herm, and myself, we all have a point. Gio, sacked by the Jets, has 0.
I was trying to rep New York.
Yes, you're all right.
Well, let's look at Monday. The Battle of the Birds, Eagles versus the Falcons. I like the Eagles.
I'm going Eagles.
And I'm going Eagles, too. You know why? Because I actually...
we are, and you're just copying us.
Part of that, but I actually looked at the ESPN analysis, and I'm like, I learned my lesson. Herm, what you got?
Oh, my gosh.
Come on. The big eagle. The big fly.
There we go.
Not the little foul. Look, I played for the Eagles for 10 years. I got no choice. I got to pick the Eagles. Come on.
We love you,
that ain't a hard one.
We love you, man. Thank you so much.
I'm
liking this new series. Let's see what happens next week. And you can catch the Eagles taking on the Falcons Monday night with kickoff right here on ABC at 8:15.
And a reminder, Robin Roberts will host ABC's official pre-show on the red carpet, the Crimson Carpet. Live at the Emmys starting at 7 p.m., right? They're calling it the Crimson?
Yeah.
And television's biggest night will also live right here on 8 p.m. on ABC.
You got it? Thank you for starting your day with us, starting your week with us. We had so much fun.